Welcome to episode 58 of the Princeton podcast, produced by the podcast production team at HG Media, providing audio and video production services here in Princeton since 1999. In this episode, our Princeton podcast host, Mayor Mark Freda, welcomed Adam Kooker, our new Princeton Fire Department Chief. Adam talked about his transition into the role, his leadership philosophy, and how the department blends volunteer and career firefighters to provide seamless emergency response services. He discussed the process of becoming a volunteer firefighter, from initial applications and training to hands-on skills and community impact that make it a rewarding experience. Plus, he reviewed the department's long-term goals, including improving fire prevention efforts, reducing response times, and enhancing overall safety measures to better serve the growing Princeton community. And toward the end of this conversation, the chief turned the tables on Mark, asking about his 50 years of service as a volunteer firefighter and the changes Mark has witnessed in the fire service over the decades. So without any further introduction, let's join our host, Mark Freda, and his guest, Adam Kooker, for episode 58 of the Princeton podcast.
Adam, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here, Mark.
Thank you. So let's start with, how long have you now been chief of the Princeton Fire Department?
So I've been the fire chief here in Princeton for about 6 months. I started in August of 2024. It's really been a fantastic experience thus far, and I'm really fortunate to have gotten the opportunity to work for this department in this town with the team that we have here.
Yeah, well, I think we're fortunate to have you. So what attracted you to this position?
So there was a number of things that attracted me to this job. For sure, just the opportunity to serve in such a dynamic and historic community. This department also has a tremendous legacy. It traces its roots back to the 1700s. So the ability to carry on that legacy and build upon it was something that was important to me for this position. And then also a really good chance to use the leadership and management skills that I've developed so far in my life. So it kind of combined a whole lot of things for me into one job, which brought me here today.
Cool. How about giving us a brief description of the Princeton Fire Department?
Yeah, so the Princeton Fire Department's made up of approximately 60 men and women. We use a combination system of volunteer and career members. We provide a variety of services to the community: fire suppression, fire inspection, fire prevention. We do emergency response to technical rescue incidents with our partners at the Princeton First Aid and Rescue Squad. Those include confined space rescue, rope rescue, water rescue, car accidents, elevator rescues, a whole host of different things. We also have a fire police unit. They do traffic safety stuff, so keep us safe when our emergency responders are out on roadways. And they also help with community events, Halloween, the Cupid 5K that's this weekend. We're a pretty busy fire department. Last year, our team responded to 1,201 calls for service. So we do about 3 to 4 calls a day. And we consistently see an increase each year of 10 to 15% calls over the year before, as we see growth in the town and the community.
Got it. So could you expand a little bit on the idea of the combination department that you mentioned, and how does a combination department try to use the volunteer firefighters and the career firefighters?
Yeah, so a combination department combines the efforts and skills of the career staff and the volunteers to ideally provide a seamless level of service for fire protection and emergency services to the community. My overarching goal is that for anybody who's looking at an emergency scene or at an event that we're at, to have really difficulty differentiating between our career members and our volunteer members. A combination department allows an organization like ours the ability to handle the increasing call volume that we've seen and providing the services that the community needs, while still allowing the volunteers to be connected to the community, give back to the community. There's a lot of factors that have led to combination departments. Overall in the country, there's been a decline in volunteer fire membership. Folks have less time to give. The training requirements have gone up, and we've seen an increase in calls. But there's still a lot of benefits to volunteering that people enjoy. It's a great career development opportunity. We give free training. You get a lot of skills. There's the personal satisfaction in giving back to your community. And then, like a lot of people know, there's a great camaraderie in the fire service. So the combination aspect allows us to keep serving the community, keep having the volunteers come out and support, and really is a benefit to everybody.
Yeah, I think being in a volunteer organization, whether it's the fire department or the first aid squad, that you get to learn things at a young age. If you join at a young age, assuming that, but if you join, when you're in your late teens, early 20s, you're going to learn things, life lessons that you're never going to learn anywhere else. I think it's a great place to just help you in your entire future.
Yeah, and I mean, even in our society today, it's a great place to learn hard skills too. Tools and saws and operating vehicles and things that a lot of people don't get exposure to in the digital age.
Yeah.
I myself learned a lot of the things that I probably would have never gotten a hands-on experience with in the fire service. So not to mention being around people who aren't necessarily in your age bracket, having friendships with them. And, it's just a fantastic opportunity for people.
Yeah. It's a great way to learn. All right. Let me shift gears a little bit. All right. Big question. Where'd you grow up?
So I was fortunate enough to be born and raised in Ocean City, New Jersey. So for my childhood, I didn't realize that for some folks, the beach wasn't 5 minutes away. So it was a great place to grow up. I still love going back. My parents and family still live there. But yeah, Ocean City, New Jersey, good spot to grow up.
There you go. Close by. Okay. Is there a history of fire service in your family?
Yeah. So like many folks in the emergency response and firefighting business, we'll call it, I grew up in the firehouse. My grandfather was a volunteer firefighter for over 50 years. My father is still a volunteer firefighter, but he was also a career fire captain in Ocean City. He worked there for about 30 years. And I'm the oldest of three brothers. My middle brother is a career firefighter in Colorado. My youngest is a volunteer with my dad at home. And needless to say, my mother is a saint for putting up with the family business.
Yeah, having you all run out at different times, missing meals,
dinners, vacations, you name it. She got left at home by herself a lot.
Yeah. All right, so honing in a little bit more on that. So you have volunteer fire department experience in your background.
Yeah, so my journey in the fire service started as a volunteer firefighter when I was 16. I joined as a junior where my grandfather and my father were volunteers. And since subsequently, I've spent the last 20-ish years volunteering as a firefighter, fire officer, numerous places throughout the state. In the last 13 or so years, I've been a volunteer in Burlington County, New Jersey, as a volunteer firefighter, fire officer, and I still volunteer there where I live today.
And then, as if on cue, the fire department has a call, the fire truck just went by right now. But anyway. Okay, so you have other professional experience in your background. Can you chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I went to college, I went to Rowan University, and I received a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. So after going through that college experience, I started as an entry-level engineer in that industry. I worked for petrochemical companies for about a decade, did operations management, supply chain management, and logistics for the facility I was at, and then also more regionally. Also went and got my master's in business administration and, just kind of kept working my way through the ranks on that side of things and management. Over a year ago, I decided to kind of leverage those skills that I'd gained in the private sector, and I shifted gears into more of a public service career. I actually went to work for the state of Delaware as the chief of their hazardous materials response team. Really enjoyed that job and the challenges associated with it. But then you stole me for this position here, and that brings me to here.
There you go. You never know where life's going to lead you.
You do not.
Yes. So your professional experiences, I think, to me, is pretty cool and pretty interesting. So can you kind of tie that to your current position and how that helps you in your current role?
Yeah, so a lot of the lessons and skills that I gained, throughout all my career experiences really directly correlate to what I do here every day. The lessons I learned in people management, leadership, budget and financial management, change management, it's really proven that no matter what the organization is doing, they're all useful and pertinent every day. It's sort of comical to me how people are people and change is hard no matter what you're doing. Whether you're making chemicals, running a restaurant, going to emergencies, they just translate and transcend across industries and workplaces.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't say if I want to join the fire department. I already am. But if someone wants to join the Princeton Fire Department as a volunteer, what should they expect to have to do to become a firefighter?
So our process to become a volunteer firefighter starts with submitting an application or an interest form. We have those on our website. We start with a phone screening to help give that person an idea of what they would be getting into. And then we do an in-person interview so they can see the firehouse, the apparatus, the place that we work out of. And then after that, like any employment, we'll call it, you do like a background check, physical, pre-employment stuff. After you complete that and you're a member of the department, we do an in-house orientation. You don't have to have any experience. So we'll give you all the skills and send you all the classes and training and knowledge that you need. The big step after you become a member and you've joined is a class called Firefighter 1. It's normally taken through one of the county fire academies. It's about 200 hours in length, so it's like a college semester-ish long course. It teaches you all the basic skills you need to become a firefighter in the state. And then once you pass that, you take a test and a skills evaluation, and you're certified to be an interior firefighter in the state of New Jersey. Once you complete that process, at that point, we have an in-house probationary packet. I like to liken it to you've gone and you've gotten all the skills and everything you need, and now we're going to help you expand upon how we do it and really hone your skills a little bit. You know, after that, we kind of teach you like the operational modes, the techniques that we use in Princeton. And then, you know, once you're done that, you're a full-fledged member of the department, you know, responding to calls, going to fires, and helping your community.
Okay. All right. So I got through my Firefighter 1. I got through my probationary package. Here I am. All right, Chief. Now what am I doing? What do you expect of me now?
So that's similar to any job. We have continuous education and training requirements. So like the Firefighter 1 coursework, we practice those skills every year. There's stuff that's mandated by law that's refresher training that we have to do. We do that. And then we do lots of like monthly continued education and training. You know, responding to fires and emergencies is a hazardous business, and it's important that you practice your skills and kind of keep yourself sharp. That keeps you safe and keeps the rest of the team safe at the same time. Our volunteers do 24 hours a month of what we call duty hours. Essentially, it's just hours in the firehouse. Some folks do that during the day. Some folks do it overnight. We're really flexible on when you complete your hours, so you have the opportunity to volunteer in the community and be part of the department.
Yeah, which is great, the flexibility, because I think it's important that everybody seems to have a lot to do these days. So the fact that the fire department tries to work as much as it can with a volunteer to shape their schedule is a great thing.
Yeah, and we've got volunteers that do the overnights. We've got some that come during the day. It's really dependent on their schedule and how they, you know, what's their work-life home situation. And we're happy to take you for whatever hours and times you want to give to us.
Yeah. And I mean, so some of my shifts I seem to do more day shifts now. My shifts are a little tougher now that I'm 32. But anyway, I was once. But, you know, even for a working person, you can get work done around chores and assignments and jobs. I mean, you're not just sitting there all day doing nothing. There's work that has to be done around the firehouse. There's calls that obviously has to go to. But even, you know, I find time to hit emails and things like that around all that stuff. So, you know, anybody out there listening, even if you have a job, it's manageable.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Adam, I don't think you have to live in Princeton to join the Princeton Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter, but is that right? Or
so no, you don't have to live in Princeton to volunteer for the Princeton Fire Department. Really, we're looking for folks who are, you know, energetic and interested, who want to serve this community. And as long as you're going to do your training requirements and the hours requirements for duty hours, you know, we'll certainly take you.
So let me ask you this one. 6 months in, how's it going for you? You're still glad you're here?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been fantastic so far. The fire department team, from the volunteer officers to the career staff to my administrative staff, everybody's been welcoming. Everybody's been super supportive. You know, the town, the municipality, all of our mutual aid partners, partner agencies. I can't, you know, say enough positive things about this community and everybody here. I was also fortunate enough to be brought on board with a new fire official, Frank Diamore. He's been a great partner, been wonderful to work with every day. So definitely, position's been going great, and very happy to be here.
It's good to hear. I'm glad you're happy. Do you have any things you want to share with us about what you hope to accomplish this year?
Yeah, so we're in the process of completing like a strategic planning process right now. You know, hoping it to be about like a 3-year strategic plan once it's complete. It's been a great opportunity for the members of the team to be self-reflective on the goods and the bads of the organization. and hopefully helping us develop a really actionable plan to improve how we service the community. So getting that plan and that timeline laid out, and then beginning the process of checking things off after we get that done is probably the biggest one on my list right now. And then some big ticket items that, we've come up with and that we're working through, improving our performance with better training and developing better policies and procedures. We can always improve volunteer recruitment and retention, which I think parlays directly into even recruitment and retention of the career staff. There's a lot of things that go into that with health, wellness, culture, staffing, the environment, but that's always something that we can improve on there. We've done a really good job recently and continue to expand on, better use of technology and systems, for inventory tracking, repairs, training. We've made good strides over the last couple of months, but there's still more to do there. And then improving our outreach with the community around fire prevention. We do some really great events, but I think there's still some more opportunity for us there.
Yeah. So how about explaining a little bit? We have people that we hired as career firefighters. We have people that we hired as fire inspectors, but now that there's really not a hard line in between the two roles anymore. Maybe you could just help educate us a little bit on how all that works and who does what.
Yeah. So, we talked about firefighter 1. That's kind of your entry level certificate or certification to be a firefighter. And then there's also a certification called fire inspector, which are the people that go out and, look at buildings and stuff to enforce the fire code. Historically, if you go back 5 or 10 years, there was fire inspectors in the town, and then there was also firefighters in the town. Now it's all combined into the Princeton Fire Department, and the folks that do the fire inspections are also firefighters. So it helped us kind of combine the department into one group, and the folks that do both of those jobs that now kind of do them seamlessly together. Fire inspections is a big piece of what we do still. I'm pretty sure we do about 1,900 fire inspections in town each year. So not a small number for the small number of staff that we have. So, including myself and Frank, we've got 11 career members right now. So, not a huge team that's handling incidents around town, 3 to 4 a day, and then also doing that volume of inspections and everything else that goes into managing a fire department. But I hope that gave some clarity on that.
Yeah. No, it's good for people to understand that. And then, we had talked about the whole thing that is the combination department, volunteers, career. But I think it's interesting because most of our career folks used to be volunteer members. And I think that's pretty normal, right?
That is pretty normal, especially in the early stages of a career department. We've had career members for 4 to 5 years now. For a lot of the volunteers to transition over to the career side, that's a pretty normal growth in a department. And also the type of thing that you'd hope to be able to foster, where you could have volunteer members who join the department, learn things, are embedded into your culture, are positive members, and then, they become career members as openings and things come about. So that's the type of environment you foster over time as well, too.
Yeah. Okay. And then one thing I think that's interesting and exciting to people in the fire world is that there is a new piece of apparatus that will show up miraculously at some point, hopefully in the next few months, but maybe you could talk a little bit about what's online.
Yeah, so we placed an order last year for a Seagrave aerial scope. So that's a ladder truck fire apparatus. In the fire service, there's kind of 2 major pieces of apparatus. There's engines that have the hose in the water, and then there's ladder trucks that bring ladders and rescue tools and the like to incident scenes. So this is one of the latter, and it is hopefully going to be here in the April-ish time frame, and you'll see that in the community driving around as the members do training and preparation and learning the ins and outs of that truck before we put it in service. But that'll be a great piece of equipment for the department. Hopefully something that'll last us and something we can use for a long time and make a real difference in the community here.
Yeah. I think the equipment that we try to provide for the fire department is, important, right? You need the right equipment.
Yeah, you need the right equipment. You need to maintain it right. And it's essential to have all the different pieces to do this job well. It's we don't want to go to fires, every day, because that means that somebody else is having a really bad day. But being prepared for it with the right equipment, training, and personnel is a really important thing for not only the firefighters, but also the community here.
Yeah. How about any long-range thoughts on accomplishments that you're looking at that you feel free to share at this point?
Yes, I think in the longer range outlook, obviously we want to complete that 3-year plan and check off most of the boxes that we come up with there. But the big one for me is improving our insurance services Office of Public Protection and Classification rating, more commonly known as an ISO score. So that's one of kind of the biggest indicators of fire department effectiveness. Much like a test graded score, they combine scores for your hydrant systems, radio and dispatch, and then they look heavily at the fire department, which is, staffing, response times, equipment, fire prevention, training records for members, you name it. It's kind of a soup to nuts look at how the department performs. And I think improving that score is one of the big goals for myself over the next couple of years for myself and this team. It's one of the ways that we're going to show that we're improving, and it'll be kind of a clear indicator of the performance that we're delivering to the community by lowering that score. It's actually like a golf score. You want it to be lower.
Yeah.
It's 1 to 10, and 1 is the best and 10 is not so great. And then the other positive benefit to that is it normally translates to lower insurance costs for residences, businesses in town. So there's a financial benefit along with the intrinsic, proof that we're doing a good job benefit.
Yeah. So which is good to hear, right? Because now people understand that their tax dollars that are funding the fire department and doing the training and hiring people and buying all the equipment, there is something that actually comes back to their pocket.
Absolutely. So not only do they know that hey, someone who's not me is grading us and giving us a good score, but there's an end result that's positive as well, that hopefully they'll see lower insurance premiums.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So again, let me just add another pitch. If I want to join the fire department, what am I doing? I'm going to...
So you can go on type in Princeton Fire Department on Google, click on the link that pops up, and there's an interest form on the municipality's website under the fire department that you can fill out. Also, we're at 363 Witherspoon Street. We're there every day. You can pop in, ring the doorbell, and we'll come talk to you and get you any information you want. So we do take drop-in hello visits, and we're happy to meet with you, explain to you, give you a tour of the firehouse, and answer any questions that you have and get you started.
There you go. It's a great thing to do for the community. You'll love it a lot if you join. Adam, thank you. It was great having you here.
Hey, it's flipped the script a little bit, Mark. You've been doing this a long time. You just recently celebrated your 50th year of service to the Princeton community in the Princeton Fire Department. What are the changes that you've seen over your years of service in this community?
Yeah, sure. So thanks. So now you're the host. Okay, great.
We're switching up a little bit.
Yeah, look, over that time period, there's a lot fewer fires than there used to be back in my heyday, so to speak, right? And the fires that we tend to get, for the most part, are smaller, so to speak, right? They're not the major, you're losing a whole building type of thing. But I think what's happened is the fire codes have improved drastically. Fire prevention efforts have improved drastically. The equipment that the fire department has today versus 50 years ago is a lot different. I know when I first joined the fire department, air packs were just coming in. And that was like, wow, what is this thing you put on your back and you're not, are you a real man? You're not sucking in smoke? So safety's a lot bigger for everybody, for the firefighters, but it's a whole different world. It's a whole different experience now. And so it's much better. So it's safer, it's better. It's a better level of protection for the community. A lot of changes, as in everything in life. But, I think it's been a great ride. I enjoy it tremendously. And again, I just can't say enough about people joining the fire department or the first aid squad. But these kind of emergency services, the satisfaction you get, you're never going to get anywhere else, right?
Yeah, it's certainly a career field that's not like anything else out there. Having done the private sector world, business world, and also done this for many, many years, there's nothing quite like it. And even in my short tenure and watching my father and grandfather and stuff, the changes in the fire service that you've lived through and seen have been dramatic. And it's pretty incredible to see where we're at and where we've been, even just walking around the firehouse across the street. Yeah. Looking at the pictures on the wall with the history just here in Princeton.
Yeah. Yeah. And the history of the Princeton Fire Department is pretty dramatic because the Princeton Fire Department goes back to 1788. It was one of the oldest volunteer fire companies in the country before we started hiring career people. But that was a difficult decision that had to be made. Do we hire career people? And, at some point, if you're not fulfilling the mission with having just volunteers, it's like, what's best for the community? And I know you're all about that. You and I have had a number of talks. You're pushing stuff to try to keep improving things. So, which is good, right? That's what you want.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you talk about fires being smaller and being less frequent. I think one of the big reasons for that is the response time we're able to provide now.
Yes.
You look at the time frame for, fire growth rate and all those kinds of things. If we're getting there in 3 or 4 minutes instead of 8 to 10 minutes, it makes a huge difference. So I think, yes, the tremendous history in the fire department, loving the volunteer aspect, but having folks in the firehouse, whether they're career or volunteer, who can get to you faster during an emergency, I think makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Right, because when I first joined the fire department, we carried different types of paging devices, and you'd be wherever you were, you're at home, you're at work or whatever, and then you get to the firehouse, and then you drive the fire truck to wherever. But what your world today is, again, volunteer career doesn't matter. We have all these shifts. People are filling them 24/7. There's a crew in the firehouse, and that fire truck's getting out like probably within a minute or so.
Yep.
As opposed to, I drove from home and then got on the truck. So it's probably at best, if you hit 5 minutes, you were doing super, but it was probably closer to 8 or 9.
Yeah. Very, very different paradigms when you look at the time, the response times. A lot happier home lives when you're not waking up your wife or girlfriend or a dog in the middle of the night running out the door, but definitely a completely different scenario. I look at growing up, the volunteer department that I was in, and then the fires and things I'd see my dad go to in Ocean City, and the response times that they had, the incidents that probably would have been much larger, that they held to smaller ones just because they were able to get there so quickly. It's tremendous seeing the changes that you can have with, to your point, the right equipment, the right people, and the right places at the right time.
Yeah. And I think in today's world, the newer buildings with all the lightweight construction and all the changes in the building codes that the building industry, construction industry has been able to push forward, that really, from a fire aspect, make buildings throwaway buildings. So if you're not out the door quickly and you're not there as quick as you can be, as you said, the fire grows pretty darn quick. Mm-hmm. And, it's essential that the fire department is getting there as quickly as they can.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Different world. So it's good that the fire department, the fire service overall, has adapted to the reality of today.
Absolutely. And I don't think you were going to be able to run out for 1,200 calls a year. Not only anybody who has a job that can do that. So just very different realities in terms of the call volumes too.
Yeah. Yeah. It all impacts what you're able to do.
Yep.
Well, anyway, thanks for shifting up roles on me. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
New rule. Ken's our producer. Ken, new rule. The guests are not allowed to ask the host questions.
Thank you for joining us for the 58th episode of the Princeton Podcast, produced by the podcast production team at HG Media. And special thanks to Adam Kooker for taking the time out of his busy schedule to join us on this episode of the Princeton Podcast. If you enjoyed the Princeton Podcast, please share it with your friends. Visit our website at princetonpodcast.com and be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, or wherever you listen to podcasts.